Rev up your engines!
Toyota isn't going to go in on electric cars all in, and they're smart if you ask me. Again, stated its intention to continue developing a broad range of technologies, not just these battery electric cars. Mr. Terashi says it's too early to concentrate on one option, to go fully electric. Yes, a smart man. He's not jumping on the bandwagon like everybody else. They're looking at it from a business perspective. There's only so many people that are going to be willing to buy electric cars. Already, 20% of the people with electric cars in the land of loonies, California, where everything is in the future, it's going to be electric. 20% of them that have electric cars are getting rid of them. They don't like it. It's too inconvenient. And that's in California where they got a lot of charging stations. Believe you me, Toyota company's a lot smarter than some of these other guys all jumping on the bandwagon. Toyota says they have plans to launch 15 electric models by 2025. Yes, take your time. See what technology pans out. Don't throw all your eggs in one basket. Oh, lithium-ion batteries, that's the future. And then like, oops, it wasn't. Well, you got stuck in one of those cars. Too bad. And of course, people are criticizing, oh, Toyota, they're behind the curve, blah, 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 blah. No, if you ask me, they're ahead of the curve. They're using their brains, seeing why should we throw billions into a technology that's unproven, that something else might take over? What if guy who's got the deal about ammonia? What if ammonia makes it? Because ammonia is nitrogen, 1 nitrogen, 3 hydrogen, and H3, something like that. If they're ammonia fuel cells, ammonia is not that hard to transport, that'll be the end of the lithium-ion batteries if they make an infrastructure for it. And that's going to take a long time. Nobody knows what infrastructure is going to go. The infrastructure, gasoline's already out there. It's not just going to disappear overnight. And of course, gasoline is petroleum-based, right? Well, that's all hydrogen and carbon. If they can figure a clean way of turning that into electricity, hey, that would work too. So who knows? Anybody who banks their whole thing on lithium-ion batteries or whatever batteries they want, they might be barking up the wrong tree. I agree with Toyota here. Take your time. Don't go jumping on the bandwagon with all the other idiots that then when the wheels fall off the bandwagon, they look, what's the new bandwagon? We'll jump on that one. Maybe it'll be a Toyota bandwagon in the end when the chips fall. Matthew E.M. says, will Tesla be overthrown? We've heard several times about Tesla's garbage quality, but do you think other brands are starting EVs will overthrow Tesla if they make good EVs? As far as I'm concerned, his throne is a fantasy throne. Everything about that company is fantasy. And when reality meets fantasy, if they do become popular, mass market, and it's going to be a while. The Volkswagen's advertising their ID.3 and .4 up the roof on TV and stuff, and they're going to be making them down the road here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They have a whole network of dealers. People can fix it. If people really get mass into electric cars, hey, you know, that's the way it's going to go. Still, it might take a really long time, but how much money do they think people have to throw away on cars? Now, realize that Elon bought Tesla. At the time, it was a maker of luxury, high-end, expensive EVs, not cars for everyone. And when the prices come down and the quality goes up and there's places that can actually fix them when they break, of course those companies will take over. It's just a fantasy world that they're living in now. Same thing with the rocket ships. Hey, the government's paying for these things indirectly, sometimes directly. And of course you can make money if the government's paying for it because it's all graft and corruption. And it's so expensive to send rocket ships in outer space, they don't care. They just keep throwing money at it. Well, we can't send our own rockets into space ourselves one at a time. It's too expensive. And why should we buy these really expensive electric cars? That makes no sense either. Let's face it, if people really wanted electric cars, convert the car you have now to electric. You already own a car, turn it into an electric car. There's going to be lots of guys in the future that'll convert those things. And that would eat into these guys' profits big time. People would just put an electric motor in their old car and it would work perfectly fine and they would save a fortune. Money's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter when the economic bubble bursts, which it has to do pretty soon. People are going to be looking ways to save money, not to buy $60,000 to $120,000 cars. Brogan says, my car AC isn't blowing cold air. It wasn't blowing very hard and the air wasn't cold. I changed the filters and it solved the flow, but the air isn't cold. Should I take it to a mechanic or give one of those refrigerant cans a try? If you understand air conditioning systems and you want to try one of those cans, get one that has a gauge. They're like $30. And there's some good ones out there that they don't work until you push them down. When you let go, they stop. So that's really good. And follow the directions, the temperature outside and the low pressure. Let's say you put the gauge on and the AC's running and the pressure's like 15. That means it's low for sure when it's running. And then you put it in and maybe get it to 35 PSI. It depends on the temperature outside and lots of things. So read the can. The can will usually say if it's this temperature, the pressure should be 30 to 35 pounds or whatever. And keep adding it till it gets to 30, 35 pounds and come inside. And if it's blowing colder, it was just low and then let it run at that. You might get get it a little bit too low, but it's better a little low than a little high. High can blow it. Low is just not as efficient. And then once you've done that, if you find out you got to do it again in a year or two because it's got a small leak, go right ahead. Just make sure you follow the directions, the temperature, and the pressure, and get one that's got the gauge on it, not just a naked one, because then you're totally guessing. As a mechanic, I use gauges that have low and high pressure, and I know what's going on. I really can measure the stuff, and I even got a thing to measure the dew point outside because that affects it. But they're close enough that if you get it to 30, 35 pounds with an ad can, with the pressure gauge on it, yeah, why not give it a try? Ikyo says, I got a supercharged Pontiac GT. How necessary is premium fuel? 2006 Pontiac Grand Prix, 106,000 miles. The engine is certainly supercharged and it runs. Do I really need to use premium fuel? If you want it to run right, you do, because that's back in 2006. They weren't as sophisticated as they are today. You're ramming all that extra air in. If you're going to drive it hard and you don't use premium, you'll probably hear the engine ping, and that's not good for the engine. But on the other hand, you say you're a student, you don't have much money. If you don't accelerate like a maniac all the time, and you accelerate more gradually and it doesn't ping at all, you could do that and it's not going to hurt anything. But if you drive really hard all the time, you hear the engine pinging, no, you'd have to use premium gas. It was designed for premium gas for full power. But if you want to drive turtle-ish, and let's say you're going to go racing around one day, fill it up with high tests for the day you're going to race it around and go back to regular. Like if you're going on a highway 65 miles an hour to steady space, doesn't matter. You could run anything in it. And if you drive slowly in town and accelerate gradually, it's okay. But if you hit it all the time, you hear the engine rattling, no, you don't want to do that. That would damage the engine. Andrew Nelson says, I was driving my 2020 Ford EcoBoost on the interstate. A little pebble went through the honeycomb grill slit and punctured my condenser. It only has 14,000 miles, but Ford said the warranty's no good because a rock knocked it through. How can I prevent that from happening? Now, that must have been a pretty strong rock. It's going to be hard to stop that. But if you want, you could get, let's say, a stainless steel mesh to put on the inside of the grill, so it would hit that stainless steel mesh before it came through and hit the condenser and knocked a hole in. You know, it would have to be something strong mesh. It's got to let the air go through, but it has to be strong. If you use, like, let's say, a fiberglass screen, that's no good to go right through the fiberglass, right? You want something that'll stop it, and you could put a stainless steel mesh in there if you wanted. You just had bad luck. I've been driving cars for 53 years, and I've never had a rock knock a hole in an AC condenser yet, so watch. Now it'll happen this afternoon when I go out, but a stainless steel mesh would work if you put it in, because stainless steel's pretty strong. Well, yes, the world's becoming yuppified. Even Daytona Beach, which is about one of the most redneck places I've ever been in my life. The Daytona Beach might kick out the world's largest truck meet because of bad behavior. Now, I've been to Daytona. That's where people go to behave badly. Went into a motel where the guy said, you better watch that camera. Somebody's going to steal your camera. Back in the day, I did black and white photography. I had a nice Canon camera. Said, watch it. Somebody's going to steal that camera for you. You go to a bar or something. Don't get drunk. Somebody will steal it. Bastion of wild behavior. And now that they want to kick out their truck meet because of bad behavior, I guess even Daytona Beach is becoming yuppified. The local mayor, Derek Henry of Daytona, says he doesn't want the event to go ahead in the future because people behave badly. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. Everyone knows Daytona Beach is the place to go and behave badly. The mayor says, most annoying are the horns and music to keep our beachfront residents awake. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It's the beach. People make noise at the beach, right? Well, I guess now it's become so yuppified that all the beachfront property, I'm sure, goes for millions of dollars, and they're all complaining there's too much noise when they bought a place in Daytona Beach that's known as a party town. Now, the hilarious thing is the truck meet itself is at the Daytona International Speedway. They're mad because the people spill out of the speedway after they're doing what they're doing and then make noise in the rest of the city. They want their money, but they don't want the noise, you know? An hilarious thing, it's only from the 11th to 13th of June. 3 days. You think they could handle the noise from 3 days? The money they're probably taking in, you know? Hilarious thing is, they had about 40,000 spectators for this truck event for 3 days, and there's only 67,000 residents of Daytona Beach, so they didn't like being overwhelmed. Now, some of the locals don't care. Marcia said, the bottom line is they come for the weekend, they spend money, have a good time, and then they go home. It's not like they're drag racing causing problems. They didn't have any accidents, crashes. For 3 days, just shut up. You can listen to the noise for 3 days. People are having fun. It's Daytona Beach, people. Spring break, all that stuff. You set it up for that, you're going to get a little bit of noise. What I say to the uppies is shut up and let the people have fun. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.